Okay. All right. Because the title of this is Boldly Go, I prepared in a different way than usual. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. So, and this month's theme is living everyday wonder, creativity. So, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen today. But what I do know is that I'm co-creating with Spirit every single second. Is there anything smaller than a second? There is, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, so we are always co-creating. Our thoughts, our feelings, our consciousness, the way we are in the world, leads to our actions, leads to just, the unseen attraction of certain people. This morning, this service is already co-created beyond my wildest dreams. I walked in and I'm supported by more than I could have dreamt of. Unexpected pleasures and treasures, unexpected gifts. It's like, thank you, God. I guess I was dreaming of having a really good time. What was the energy? And all this stuff, all these things that we do, the thinking, the dreaming, it creates our lives. And the science of mind is a clear teaching that reinforces and reminds us of that. Because guess what? Even if you're not conscious of your thoughts and your feelings, you are still co-creating with Spirit. So if you are thinking, worrying, fretting, etc., 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 guess what you'll attract? Guess what will show up in your lives? Because we impact our experience of our lives. We are in control, not total control, because sometimes better stuff shows up than what I expected. And sometimes my expectations aren't met. So it's interesting to watch our expectations too. So we get to choose. Is today going to be a comedy? Or is today going to be a tragedy? Or is it going to be, I don't know what kind of a day. So when you spring out of bed, it's like, and some days are like, oh, this is going to be a great day. Another day it's like, am I allowed to say SHIT? Yeah, so anyway, so we have that creative power. We have that within us. And it's how conscious we are of it is what's reflected in our lives. So boldly going is going to get you those unexpected pleasures and treasures I talk about. Sitting in the dark by yourself, well, for me, that would be incredibly boring and lonely. But if that's what you want, you can have it. It's your choice. So how aware are you of your thoughts and feelings? Sometimes I'm very aware, other times, space cadet. And we get to, one of my things is I want to just keep expanding my consciousness. I want to keep growing my knowing because I'm curious. I want to know what's out there. What don't I know about? What haven't I experienced? What's there for me? And then, of course, there's the stuff that I'm afraid of. And a lot of us are afraid of being vulnerable. And guess what? It's kind of a human condition. That's part of being human. It's feeling vulnerable and feeling the uncertainty and the exposure and the fear and allowing yourself to be seen. Getting out of that dark room. And especially now, I don't know about all of you, but it's been really interesting to re-enter the world after having been in my beautiful house with my beautiful husband and my beautiful cats for years. But all the gifts, seeing all of you and laughing with you and singing with you and we're not doing dancing today. Yeah, no. But it's just being willing to express your truth, your belief, your authenticity in any moment is so key. And it's not like you can avoid being vulnerable, because you are vulnerable no matter what. No matter what, you're vulnerable. And it's also a prerequisite for leading a full life. To really go out there and risk. And you can't help being vulnerable. Walking down the street, driving a car, eating something you've never eaten before. That can be really scary. Going to a restaurant that you don't know, trust, whatever, or trying some kind of exotic food. There's all sorts of little things we risk and do. And there's a big time discomfort in that. Big time discomfort. And you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, to be really alive. One of my goals here is to have us live our lives so that we truly live. We really get out there and live our lives so that we have no regrets. So that there is nothing that I left on the table. I went for it. Even if I fell flat on my face, I failed forward. I went for it. Even if it's like, oh my God. Because the thing is by doing that, I've learned something. There's a lesson to be had in risking and going out there. And now my brain is screaming, yeah, but don't do anything stupid. Because there are certain things that you're not prepared to do. I don't know about you, some of you may not want to get on a ski lift with skis on your feet and then have to get off and then look down the slope and go, oh, this was not a good idea. But the way to ski well is to go for it. Lean down the hill. Give it your all. And so the times that I've crashed and burned, I didn't burn, I crashed. But I got up. It's like, oh, that wasn't a good way to do it. I think I'll go find an easier slope. There's all sorts of options. But there's all different things. And to being resilient, to pick yourself up, to know that you learned something of that outcome, and you just, there's joy. And I'm usually with someone who can come up and rush up and say, are you okay? And then I'm lying there looking at them, and start laughing. Like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. But I went for it. I went for it. And I'm discomfortable. There's so much right now going on. And this morning I turned on the news, because I always turn on the news to know if there's something I need to know about that's new. This morning, a perfect example of Boldy going came forth. And that is, there is a story, right now there's a big art exhibit in Venice. Yeah, it'd be nice to be in Venice. Anyway, so it's all the different countries have different displays. And it was a story about an artist and his supporters in Ukraine at the beginning of the war. And they have a fountain called the Fountain of Exhaustion that they wanted to display in this exhibit hall in Venice. So when the war broke out, one of the women who was part of this artist cadre of supporters was about to give birth. And she lived in Kyiv. So she packaged up all of the stuff that she knew of that was part of the installation, put it in her car, grabbed a few things, and drove to Lviv, where she had her child picked up. And then, boldly going on, she drove to Venice. Talk about courage. Talk about being in a vulnerable spot. Can you imagine? Yes. And there's so many examples of being courageous and risking and being vulnerable. I mean, you have them in your life. Like I said, walking down the street, going to the grocery store, trying new food, doing all that stuff. And here's one. Saying I love you first to somebody else. Connecting heart to heart with somebody else. Being brave to come forth with that. Sharing with someone who's beloved to you. Loving deeply. Loving so deeply. And then there's other things that we think of as creative endeavors. Singing songs, writing songs, painting, writing, cooking for somebody. You know, sometimes the cooking doesn't go the way you thought it was going to go. Anyway, you don't need to go down that rabbit hole. The dancing and the singing. So I'm going to be a little more vulnerable than I've already been. Not that I haven't been. But I have a painting I want to show you. And there's a reason I'm showing this one today. Not that I'll show you any others ever. But this one is a phoenix. And I think that the phoenix, the lighting's good for it too, wow, is symbolic of what we need to be doing. Because there are ashes of war, there's ashes of conflict, there's hurt out there. And the love and the consciousness and the willing to be vulnerable and to boldly go is what's called for. Mother Earth is calling us to boldly go and shift the way we do a lot of things. We need to nourish. We need to nourish the earth. And we're going to be scared, and we're going to be disappointed, and we're going to be let down, and we're going to be guaranteed to fail sometimes. And sometimes we'll succeed beyond our wildest dreams. We don't know. There's always problem-solving opportunities. There's always something else to join together with other people and co-create with spirit. It's like, oh my God, the energy just spirals up. Goes up and up and up. Oh. There's someone who said these phrases, and I know his name, and it'll come to me. But he says, David Alt reminds us that the solution already exists. The solution is already there. We get to discover it. And sometimes we just stumble into it. And that's okay too. It doesn't matter in that level. There's always more to learn, and we need to trust the process. And I'm going to share this story because I got a big laugh out of it. I got it off of CNN, and it's the story of 3 little baby boy triplets who live in Wisconsin. And guess what? Mom couldn't tell them apart. So what did she do? So Tom got red toenail polish. Henrik got blue toenail polish. And James got green toenail polish. And then their aunt came along and did TikTok. And now they're plastered all over the internet. And, can you imagine? You're already a triplet. And then you have to wear the shirt that matches your toenail. and then your aunt publishes it to the world. Very creative, very funny, and full of joy. Because I know I've been holding a lot of sorrow for various reasons, which I won't go into. But the joy is still there too. And to boldly go, I want to tap into that joy. I want to have no regrets about anything in my life. There are things I've said yes to that I thought, oh, this is really not a good idea. But I said yes, because that's what came out of my mouth first. And I went for it. Sometimes I failed. But I learned so much. I learned so much. The confidence, the creativity, the courage comes from doing it, being out there, engaging. And you don't have to do it alone. If you've got, you could call it a kitchen cabinet, a council, people that you trust and know that you can enlist them as allies, because they care about you. They love you. They will laugh with you. They will cry with you. So if you have something that you really, really boldly want to do and you need support, ask for it. Ask for it. Because you are always co-creating with Spirit, and everybody around you is Spirit incarnated too. We're all there together. So love with wholeheartedness. Go for it. Alfred Lord Tennyson, this is a classic. "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." And I'm committed to loving. So we're being courageous, going forth, doing what is on our plates, and then going back to the buffet, because there's probably more there that we didn't know about and that we might be open to the second time around. I wanted to leave you with this quote by David White, because it's actually on my wall in a little sign. And he says, "To neglect your creativity is not a passive process. It is actually a corrosive and destructive process. That our creativity, in a sense, has everything to do with the way we know intuitively that we belong in the world. Your creativity is your way of conversing and exploring life." Let's take this into prayer. Divine Spirit, infinite Creator, that presence within each and every one of us, that infinite creativity, that love, that light, that grace, that joy, that energy, that vulnerability. I know that we are all in this together. The entire universe, the entire planet, the entire everything. And I am so grateful, because that love, that energy is palpable. The grace that we go forth with confidence, courage, wholeheartedly, with each and every step that we take in this world. Each and every hug, each and every smile, each and every kiss. There is that beauty, that rest, that knowing that healing is going on in each and every moment. And that our consciousness expands and expands so that we are aware, awake. And we chop wood and carry water before, during, after enlightenment. And we chop wood and carry water. Each and every movement we make, each and every flutter of a butterfly's wings has impact in the world. We are co-creating a magnificent experience of life. And I trust and know that this is our birthright, and that we are truly divinely guided in each and every moment. And we boldly go, and we boldly learn, and we are truly blessed. And the law, of course, is in action, saying, absolutely yes. And I know that we are all blessed and comforted and healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I let these words go with full conviction, trust, knowing, gratitude, love, grace, and belief. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.